That's not a great way to start the show. You know, I've got to put us on the freaking screen. Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to another edition of Storm of Hashtag Fade the Black. I am your host, Zella Martin Morris, here with Anita Joe, aka Teach. Not point the wrong way, ladies and gentlemen. That's her right there, right there.
Good evening, everyone.
And in the nick of time, Mayo, what's up? How you doing?
What's up, brothers? What's up, my sister? How you doing? How y'all
Hi,
doing?
Mayo. How are you?
Life is good. Trying to make it better. It's a good day. Trying to make it better.
That's
All right,
good.
great.
That's good.
Because this is the topic for today is you're going to be the lead on it. This is the one that you said that you wanted to talk about. So you're going to give everybody a deep dive. Once again, I want to let y'all know we're one guy short. How you doing, Billings? How you doing, Battle? We are one guy short. Beach Johnson, y'all know he's a fixture on the show. He will not be joining in tonight, but I would guarantee you he will be back on Wednesday. But y'all know what our favorite part of the show is. We like to do our opening statements. But before we do our opening statements, I would love to introduce our sponsor, Real Cheddar Boy Popcorn, once again. Check them out. Nice flavor, cheesy pizza. Speaking of Cheddar Boy Popcorn, the only black popcorn company here in all of Washington. Did you give us your address?
I did.
I wonder what flavors you got, but we saved that for later in the show. Mayo, you need to get on this popcorn too. And speaking of getting definitely about getting on the popcorn game. Check out their website, strolling at the bottom, realcheddarboypopcorn.com. Once again, realcheddarboypopcorn.com. Also, you can look them up on Facebook and place your orders there. 12 different flavors. And if you're here locally, they're selling hot dogs and also Reuben's. If y'all tuned into Friday's show, you know what I'm talking about. But let's go ahead and jump into oh, I'm getting hungry again. Jump into our opening statements. Ladies and gentlemen, my opening statement goes a little something like this. This COVID era has really got me out of shape. I wouldn't say out of shape. I'm becoming a shape, and that's round. And I know I'm not the only one. So I am not only just encouraging you, but I'm also encouraging myself. If you're having this issue in becoming a shape, work out. Because after this show, I'm going directly to my weights right here on the side, and I'm going to start knocking out some freaking PT, physical training for y'all in the civilian world. Because I never thought something like this will halt everybody, even people that I saw that's like built and stocky, have a bigger belly than me. Sometimes I just look in the mirror and I just look at my belly, and my girlfriend said, making fun, look at this, twinsies, I got a belly too. But I said, no, it looks like I'm about to have your twins. So if y'all having this issue, please, I beg of you, go work out. Because I'm encouraging myself as well as I'm encouraging y'all. Because I know a lot of y'all been hitting the Doritos a little bit too long, hitting the fried chicken. I ain't gonna lie, had me some Dominoes. Been eating that a little bit too long, and I know it's the winter. You know, we are accustomed to eating a lot and having the big belly so we can stay warm. But I encourage each and every one of you. Yeah, I know, Bills, you're a workout guru, man. Yeah, don't worry. I gotta get back in my working out, but enough about me. Let's as our boy Beach Judge will always say, let's start the show.
Yes. Good evening, everyone. Yes, I echo that sentiment when it comes to making sure that we take advantage of whatever time we have indoors to make sure we get ourselves together, because sitting there indoors for so long has it's tearing us apart, making us look bigger than we ever thought we ever be. And I mean literally bigger, because I it's affecting me myself. I think probably gained about 20 pounds at least over this over this course of the time that we've had COVID. So it's a bad thing, but I'm starting to work out myself. My opening tonight will be that we should always try to find a way to fine tune ourselves. I'm taking that upon myself. I know that I've been someone who all my life has been there, someone who has a voice to speak for others, and at the same time, I've always had issues where when I've had speech impediment issues all my life, where it's weird. Someone who's speaking for others, representing others, having speech impediment issues, and naturally had to go to speech therapy at a younger age. Sometimes I stutter when I get excited and all this stuff. Sometimes I speak real fast. But to find out that I'm trying to find a way to help kill that, and part of the way is to try to practice more. To practice more and try to be better. Because the more you practice, the better you get. So that was what was on my mind today. That I'm doing this shows now 3 a week, which I used to do one every 2 weeks. Before, and I still have that one that I have on a radio show. But now I'm doing 3 a week, and I thought about how overwhelming it could be, but also I thought about my new family, which I've come to love them so much so far, and the folks who are listening out there, and how I just thought about the positive part of it is I'm sharpening my knife, so to speak, metaphorically, by doing this. So with that being said, I thank you guys for listening. You guys are making me better as much as we're all making each other better. And let's try to hear each other out and listen to each other out, and just be considerate when we hear each other.
Negadev. Negadev is a Wolof word spoken by the people in Senegal. So I would say Negadev, and you would answer Manga Fari. Negadev means hello, how are you? Manga Fari means I am fine. So Negadev, everyone. Living your life. Let us all be alive in our life versus simply living day to day. Now, what do I mean? We all that are here, we're alive, but are we maximizing? Are we enjoying? Are we seeing the silver lining in this gray cloud of COVID that's over us? Morris mentioned that because of the inactivity of the pandemic, that he's gaining weight. Many of us are. But I was inspired yesterday by one of my sisters in Kansas, Wichita, Kansas. She was feeling very, very down. And she said, today I'm simply going to get up and put on my best clothes and just enjoy me today. So she put her hair together, she put her head wrap on, she put on all her jewelries and all of her regalia. And she looked like a queen, and she sat there and had a photo shoot about herself and posted it on the internet. And life was coming back into us because this whole thing of COVID is trying to kill us. If it's not physically attacking us, it's mentally attacking us because we're confined to our homes. And people like me and other people who have found these new pajama jobs. And these pajama jobs are the jobs that you roll out of your bed and open up your computer, but you don't have to go through the hustle and bustle of getting ready and looking perfect and going out to work, driving in the traffic. So if you have a pajama job, take one day and just say, hey, I'm going to dress as if I am actually leaving the house. And it does your mental good. It does your psyche some good. There have been studies to say that during the Depression, that women purchased lipstick. Actually, the purchase of lipstick goes up during a depression. And the psychology behind that is that even though things may be bad around us, if I just put a little lipstick on and have a brilliant smile, not only will it lighten up my day, but it'll lighten up the days of those that's around me. And with that, that's my opening statement. Live in your life versus just living. Be alive in your life.
All right, Mr. Mayo, this is your topic that you want to talk about. So you, my friend, my panelists, take the lead.
Absolutely. Good evening, everyone. Hopefully it doesn't get too hot today. Heat wise, and I've got my hoodie on in the wind, Ohio here. So hopefully it
Don't
doesn't
worry,
get.
it's cold here in Washington. Don't worry.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Hopefully it doesn't get too hot in the room, so I'll take off my hoodie at some point because the topic I want to talk about is a hot topic in our community, and it's one that we've talked under the rug for so long. And with time, if we don't pay attention, it's going to erupt and or implode in our faces, or internally implode in us. And it's the issue of the division that we've always had. You can date it back to Willie Lynch, all the way to where we at. You can actually date it back to before Willie Lynch, and to not get too deep into theories of who sold who at the seashores, and who maybe did nobody sold, and maybe folks just came to attack and take. Most of us have heard all kind of theories, and I try not to dwell too much into that because who's to prove what happened in those hours and those weeks and those months, Um, but you fast forward that to the fact that we've always found a way to divide ourselves, and when it came to a certain point, Willie Lynch uh, was part of the way to divide us, and that was an external force to divide us. When I say us, and I mean black being global, black being the strongest and the most overwhelmingly most number of people that you see on this face of this planet, but because of the stigma that we've had over us, we've allowed ourselves to look down on ourselves and to continue to divide ourselves. There's a hierarchy in our community today in the Western world and in America, for sure. I can't speak for other countries in the West, but I know in America there's a hierarchy of the predominantly multi-generation African Americans to the first and second generation African Americans, and those are the ways I like to coin them. Even though the idea that I'm even identifying them in subgroups is makes me cringe a little bit, but for the betterment of understanding of how we when we have issues within, we got to sometimes identify ourselves. So first and second generations, over time that we've always known that there's still that division. We call each other brothers and sisters, but and we bear the brunt of the bullets that hit us, regardless, or maybe the knees on our necks. Whenever we've been attacked by external forces, but for some reason we still find a way to attack each other and to try to put each other down for individual gain. So, like I said, is that hierarchy of multi-generation, and then first and second generation, which includes people from the continent, from the Caribbean nations, and so forth. But within all that, there's been people too who's been from the continent and who's been quite right, absolutely rude and ignorant when it comes to describing and accepting the mindset that we are all one together, and so it's a two-sided sword that we need to face for so long, but we've not. And this is far from the heroes of our heroes like Marcus Garvey, Kwame Nkrumah, Malcolm X, Pan Africanists who said together we are stronger, and they've looked at that theory in different ways. Even from people look at Marcus Garvey and they want to poo-poo his message because they want to he wanted us to go back to Africa. It was not just about physically going back to Africa. It's about also knowing about a group identity and having solidarity. So all that today with the work that's been done to realize, and I know I'm taking so long on this, but I just want to make sure I get the good intro to the idea of this topic that we're talking about. I hear about recently, and not only hear about, I know about now, this group called ADOS, American Descendants
Slaves.
of slaves. Yeah. So and when I first heard about it, like everybody else who might be a Pan African and stuff, this is years ago. And when I first heard about it, I laughed at like yeah, right. This folks they're not gonna do nothing. I'm pretty much like this, but there's a couple of folks out there that don't know what they're doing. But I realized today that feeling of keeping it as a mundane idea and overlooking it has allowed it to grow, and it continues to grow. And one of my friends in the Pan Africanist fight and movement from New Jersey, he's an OG, but he's a good friend. He calls it the Trojan horse in the Black community. It's something that's out there that would end up breaking us apart for good if we don't make something happen or put an end to it. So bottom line, I think we've all heard about ADOS. The idea is that we're American descendants of slaves. We want to make sure that we are recognized different, and and I mean we. I'm not saying I am. I'm just saying this is the language that comes from them. They want to make sure that when it comes to reparations, we want ours first. We want to make sure that we get everything we can get from the United States. Not to sit anybody's arguing with them about what to get, who to get reparations from the United States, but then when you do that, then you forget about the message of all Black people around the globe that have been oppressed, that you're supposed to be fighting for together. And together, if you fight together, it's easy for you to get what you want to get. So, but to set that aside, it just drives into the division that we have. And again, it's on both sides. But the one thing I'm glad to see is the other side have not created an organization, a formal organization, which makes it legitimate and which makes it easy for you to recruit. And now you're recruiting within, and you're creating the division within. And I just believe is again the Trojan horse and something that we should all stand up to now before it goes too far and gets to the point where it implodes on us.
If I may interrupt, Mayo,
I was going
to. Your audio is going in and out. And you said this phrase twice, and each time I didn't catch it. It's like you said, children of harassment.
Oh, sorry. What did I say leading up to that? You gotta help me out here. You gotta help me out.
He who said ADOS. Was that the part that you was confused about? Teach. We were saying.
She probably forgot. Hold on.
I guess I'm not hearing it clearly. The internet is going in and out. I'm sorry.
All right,
my bad. And I'm gonna speak closer to it. I was done with my intro, and I know it's a long intro, but it's just I wanted to give a background of how much I've known about them and where they're at today.
Yeah. All right, so let me go ahead and chime in. So I heard of ADOS. I understand like exactly what you said. So basically, ADOS was started around, I would say 2019, around that time frame, if I'm right or wrong. The two heads of that organization is Tone Talks. I forgot, but that's a show. But his name is Tone. And then the other one, she used to be with the Black Panther. I can see her face right now, and she wears glasses. I can pull her up on YouTube. So these two, they really did made a ruckus and actually brought up the reparations talk in Washington, D.C. So I guess you're not the only one. My battle Gigi, she said the same thing too. So let me see. Okay. So I got you. I was looking at the comments. But these two were the two focal points with this organization that actually got Congress to talk about reparations, also had people go up there to talk on behalf of reparations, and then you had this other one, this other brother. I ain't gonna call him a brother. He just happens to luck to be black to say that, well, we don't need reparations, we're good. And he literally got booed during that hearing. So they had done some good for getting the reparations talk, but then Tone, the other guy who he's the other guy that I was mentioning about, the issues that I had with him is when ADOS was really getting that wave going and a lot of people started to listen to him and start to come to the group, he started to feel himself a little bit. What I mean by feeling himself, when he hear other like issues or other people saying things about issues in black communities, he always has something to say about it. And I'm like, dude, calm down, stay in your lane. It's like me with the show. Everything's going great, everything's going good, but she's doing her own thing over here, and she having a good time with it. And I just gonna sit there and say, what's she doing over there? What's she doing that she can't get right here when she's already a panelist on the show? What's she doing? And that's where I feel really start to turn the corner on ADOS, because when you have Tone out there, I don't know too much about the other lady. I forgot. I wish I'd known her name. But Tone was really feeling himself because he got his own radio show, and he just talking about what we should be doing, how we should be doing it. This is what you should do. And that's why a lot of people start to come at him. Like when I was showing the Black Authority on the show the other 2 shows ago. At first he was with the movement, but then when he started to see Tone Talks started to like feel himself a bit, he started coming at him. Because he's like, you talk about things that you don't know about. Just because you're now the mouthpiece of, I'm not gonna call it the black conscious, but like now you're the mouthpiece for black folks, and people are recognizing you being the figure to getting that reparation talks, cut the check. That was their slogan of the day. Cut the check. Still realize you're new to the table. You're brand new. And for me, people started to get cut off by this group. I started to get cut off, cut them off. And then comes Tariq Nasheed with this Foundational Black Americans, FBA, which is like the, no disrespect, Tariq Nasheed. It's kind of like the counter of like, Black Lives Matter, and then you got Blue Lives Matter, which we already found out that Blue Lives Matter is just a Blue Lives Matter, nothing behind it. But Tariq is trying to build something, but still it was a counteract to what ADOS had. So I appreciate them bringing the talks of reparations, but when you get on your high horse, that fame, that spotlight start to get to your head when you think you're untouchable. But anybody can jump in. That's my take on that.
Okay, so let me understand, or let me speak what I think I understand, and this is definitely up for correction because I have not paid that close attention. But I want to go back to what something Mayo said, is that when they first came up, we kind of dismissed them, but now they've gotten some traction, and even some notable Pan-Africanists are ascribing to this theory of ADOS. Now, what I understand is the foundational, or one of the first reasons why ADOS thought that it should gain itself a platform was because of the immigration issue between first and second immigrants and those that came through historically. And for me, that just reeks of xenophobia, because first or second generations would not be eligible. They just would not be eligible. And that's not a case of being divisive. It's just simply geographical region. Where were you born? How long have you been here? And if you just got here in the last 50 years, you're just not eligible. Even if you came 100 years ago, you're still not eligible for those benefits. If your ancestors were not enslaved on this soil, you are not eligible. And when we're speaking about reparations for this locale, which is the United States of America, we're only talking about those enslaved in American borders. We have um, what is it called? Um, Cabo. Is it Cabo? Oh my God, my memory is failing me. But the Caribbean islands, several of them had gotten together and put together a 10-point reparation plans, which they sued Europe, and the lawsuit failed. All right. But they did it together as a sovereign state and the sovereign nation. The difference between the United States and, say, Jamaica or the Bahamas or Suriname is that they are sovereign. In the United States, we are citizens within another structure. So the United States is never going to sue Europe. Okay, that's not going to happen. So for me, the argument that the American descendants of slaves, I have seen posts where the first, well, let me establish this. In history, the first thing that you're taught as a historian is that you are to discard any altered documents. Okay, so if you have documents that's not in their original form, they are not valid for research. They are not valid as a source. All right. So these people have doctored documents on the word African American. And they will come back and say, see, as early as 1709, this country was using the verbiage referring to Africans as African Americans. And we know historically that is a lie. In 1709, they were calling them Guinea men. They were calling them Congo. They were calling them Mandinka, because these were the names of the people. They weren't calling them Africans. They were calling them by the name of the land of origin from which they came. So the whole theory of ADOS is to say that they were slaves in America, dissecting or removing that element of African, to say some theories I've seen out there say that they were the original indigenous people of the United States. And to me, I say all that might be true, because Ivan Van Sertima wrote they came before Columbus. I don't know if they're actually using his thesis to make that claim, but my issue is, if they came before Columbus, what historical artifact can you point to show our presence before that time? And the only thing they can come up with are these doctored documents, or possibly the ruins down in South America with the Incas and the Mayan statues that bear that wide nose, to say, hey, see, they look like us, they're African. But if you look at the actual Inca people, they have that wide nose and they look similar. That does not make them of the African DNA or of the Negro blood. So these are the issues that I see when they want to say that Africans, first, second generations, are not eligible for, or we want to set ourselves aside You don't have to because you're not eligible. It's just that simple. It's just, I have DNA from Angola. And if there was a claim that I wanted to put in, because if you've ever heard me talk about who to get reparations from, I want reparations from Africa. I want reparations from Angola. They have the oil fields and diamond mines. I want my cut of the oil fields and diamond mines. In addition to Great Britain. Okay? There's enough blame to lay around because my ancestry taken from Angola, taken from the Congo, taken from Cameroon has taken me from my cultural inheritance. So in reclaiming myself, I want the reparations for the work that my ancestors have completed in building these United States of America and making several families wealthy. I want that cut, and I want that which was denied me because I was taken from my homeland. So for me, it's a moot point to say, oh, Jamaicans can't get reparations in America. True. Jamaicans can get reparations in Jamaica, wherever they live. If they suffered the trade, they are getting reparations in their country. The same thing with those in Brazil. The same thing with those in Trinidad and Tobago. The same thing with those in Suriname, Colombia, Chile, Argentina. Their countries will argue reparations for them.
There you go, Chief. What Miller said. Miller is an African descendants of slaves. I ain't forget about you. African descendants of slaves. Well, go ahead.
Well, I was going to answer that question as well. And the name African descendants of slaves, no, I thought it was American descendants of slaves.
It's American descendants of slaves.
American, sorry. Correction. Sorry.
What. So, I mean, because they want to prove that they're American and they're not African. So they don't want to, they really don't want to be, they don't want to be connected to Africa. You know, it's about give us our reparation, give us our money, and we can be here. But yeah, back to the whole thing. So, I mean, I just think that number one, the one easy thing they should have seen from day one is the idea that, you know, not only do people here or who are descendants of slaves here deserve reparations, anybody who lived through colonization or descendants of people who were colonized deserve that reparations as well. And like Sister Anita was saying, again, those countries can fight for that. But what's better than those countries fighting for that is all of us fighting together as a black race and saying that, hey, you know, if it wasn't for Malcolm going to the OAU back then, I gotta keep saying, I really think that I don't know why media does it, but they've suppressed that information enough that people don't understand how much influence that had to do with us getting the Civil Rights Act passed. Because when Malcolm realized that the United States was trying to get African nations into the United Nations, he went there and met with the OAU and told them about what they're doing to our people, including which some of their people were coming, students coming for school here. You know, and he told them like look what people having to go through in America. You know, and it was then those who stood up and said, you know, if you want us to join the United Nations, you got to treat our people better. That in addition to what was going on with all the boycotts and all this stuff was what made this thing happen. It was no way that it was just going to be, Dr. King went to the mountaintop, and that was it. You know, that's what the story that they wanted to think today. You know, I mean, they mean the media. So I go back now. I'm saying that in the sense that if we take a page from that book, to know that if we work together, that we can easily and find a way to get these reparations for all of us in different perspectives, in the sense that in America, the folks who are descendants of slaves can get the ones in America, and like countries like England and the French and all those ones that colonized African countries all the way to 1960s and 70s, into 60s and 70s. Folks were being ruled by other countries. It amazes me how many African American, multi-generation African Americans do not understand what colonization is, the effect it had, how long it was. I mean, it's like all we're doing is just is showing each other scars. I got better scars than you do, or worse scars than you do, and it doesn't help us out at the end of the day. So I conclude. Go ahead, go ahead.
Yeah, you hit on the part that I was just thinking about what you were saying. I was like, it seems like it's that I got better Bentley than you,
What?
or I got better house than you,
What?
or like one time I had one of my Jamaican friends where I used to work with in construction. He was like, "We speak proper English." And I was like, what that's supposed to mean? We the Brits. He's like, we speak like the Brits, but we put our own little tang to it. I was like, okay. I'm like, all right, but when you get pulled over by police, they can care less that you're Jamaican. You still a black man that has an accent. So that's a good point that you had. So my question to both of you, and then also to our guests, this is not just our show, this is y'all too. Y'all can intervene as well.
The dialogue today.
Yes. So my question is this: do you think that this organization, because in the terms of teach, you're basically saying that this is nothing new. This is not new. This has been talked about for probably centuries, decades. This is nothing new. It's just a new name. Do you think that this organization is, basically what the topic says, progressing or regressing us as black people? And us
They're
as
just spinning around in a circle. I just want to say that the issue of slavery and the issue of colonialism are two different issues. And each African country that was colonized, some of them have their independence and some of them have a pseudo independence, which especially the French speaking countries, they're still colonized. They still use their colonial masters' currency. They still pay tithes or pay, what is it called? They pay their dues, which is or fees or taxes or
Taxes,
there's
I forgot what
it's
to call
not
it.
taxes, but it's an assessment that these countries pay to their colonial masters in lieu of their freedom, which they don't have. And though that assessment is what makes their colonial masters still wealthy today. So we don't have that issue in terms of reparations and slavery here. So I would not convolute the problem. I would isolate it and dissect it. Every country has to fight for themselves. Now, for the Caribbean that put forth their 10-point plan, we have people on the ground working, a team of lawyers and researchers that are actually gathering the research to make the case for reparations. The reason why we have not gone forth to make the case is because of something I mentioned earlier, because we're not a sovereign nation. So we have to make it as a organization for the people. Additionally, it's necessary. This is a big thing. And what they're doing is identifying, one, the companies that are functioning today and the families that are functioning today that made their wealth during slavery. Companies like the Massengills. You all may or may not be familiar with the Massengills because they sell feminine products. So your mother and your sisters and your wives, they know Massengill. You say Massengill, they know what it is. But the Massengills were one of the plantation owners that developed their wealth. So they're looking at these company or that company is still wealthy today, So yes, they should be assessed in the reparations bill. There's companies, life insurance companies, Barclays Bank, and
Mm-hmm.
other. The list goes on and on. And this is
Wells
what these
Fargo.
researchers are doing: is looking into who had their hands in the cookie jar and is still in existence, so they can lay claim on that inheritance. So they will be very clear and very thorough. What they learned from the Caribbean lawsuit, they're tweaking it. They're examining where they failed and how the judicial system ruled. They're looking at that ruling so they can tweak it. So when the United States come forth with their claim for reparations, it would be much, much stronger. And this is the case that I think would be the best for each and every country. Everyone try. And as one is successful or if one fails, you have a body of research in order to add to your repertoire that will give you strength and going forth again. Now, part of what I would like to see in terms of reparations is the monetary value from the European countries. One. Two, I would like to see the artifacts that are in our colleges and universities in the United States and Europe and the museums, those artifacts, those African gods return back to their land. There have been arguments that, oh, the Africans don't know how to store these artifacts, therefore they have a safer home in Europe. Now let's look at these artifacts. What are these artifacts? We have been told that these artifacts represents demons, represents witchcraft, represents everything evil up under the sun. But the reality is, many of these artifacts represents the culture and the heritage of particular peoples in Africa. And what these European nations have done is captured the power of the people. And that is why they are in this dispossessed state, because they have been separated from their power. If you would go into an archaeologist's home, you will find every level of African artifact. The same ones that they tell you or have told you, have convinced you, have hoodwinked and bamboozled you that they were devices of Satan and witchcraft. You walk in their home, not the museum, but their home, their own personal collection, you would think you was in Africa. But then again, not so much, because Africa has bought into the idea that what their God gave them was evil, that these churches are setting about to burn them and destroy them. So if Europe was to preserve them after telling you that it's evil, after you believed that what you made with your hands was evil, then they convinced the offspring, like Mayo said with their Willie Lynch syndrome, to burn the remnants. Those artifacts have some type of power. If it was powerless, the Europeans would not want it in their home, in their colleges, universities, and their museums. That same artifact, that mask that was worn by the masquerade, will sell for $10 to $15 in Africa, but at that museum is priceless. It's valued at $1 million or $10 million. So we have to recognize the head fake. If it's worthless in Africa, how did it gain value in Europe?
That's
I think that I was going to say to Sister Anita that Coachella is working on getting all of the rest of them from the I'm being silly from Black Panther getting but no, definitely it's an important thing for sure for us to do is to make sure we return those things to the original locations and to their homes. I was enjoying the video of Sister Anita's travel. We have the heads popping out of the floor, out of the ground. And the video that we saw a few shows ago, talking about your travel, and that's what that reminds me of, is like stuff that belongs to folks in Africa, that it's been looked at here as decoration or just to play with type deal. So that's a whole different conversation. But back to the ADOS for me, or for the ADOS, American descendants of slaves. The most of them that I've met, because I'm hanging around them most of the time. What I see there seems to be a danger, that could be a danger, is the idea that the regular one of us who would, or the average one of us, I should say, who would every day, talk about those guys, that they would use those kind of phrase, or maybe like just in a very, very passive way, might not really know that they subconsciously, talk down on the other group within us, within the Black community. The average one of us that might do that. It's one thing to be like that. When I meet some of these folks, you can tell, because there's an additional sense of, I don't want to say rude. It's not like they're rude. It's just like additional sense of resentment towards.
Yeah, the nose is up in the air.
Right. So it's one thing to be, because when I get in conversation with somebody, say, "Oh, those Africans," I'm like, I cringe a little bit, because I'm like, I don't use the word Africans, I don't use, I just use Black, then if I had to, go into within, I'll say first and second generation or multi generation, but when I hear, oh, those Africans, those Jamaicans, like that, and like African Buddhist scratcher, or when I hear the first and second generations talk about the Akatas, whatever, I mean, and I'm like, and I push back harder, because I feel like, I just push back harder, because I feel like maybe perhaps it's easy for me to fight those off, because I'm one generation away, so it's hard. It's easier for me to fight with them than to fight somebody who looks at me, and like I'm beneath them, because I'm like 10 generations away from them, or 4 generations away from them, out of Africa, whatever. So but I say all that to say that it's on both sides, but the folks who are ADOS that I've met, there seems to be that additional layer of, it's more than just those Jamaicans, those African, it's more like they're not going to take our jobs no more. It's like it's more of adding to the narrative. It's not just it's one thing to see people like that don't.
That's xenophobia.
No, I mean that's what it is. That's what it is. I'm just saying, but it's just more zeal that comes with it.
So I'm gonna go ahead. Sorry to cut you off, but we at the top of the hour, and so we're gonna everybody get back to their corners. We're gonna go ahead and put this commercial break, and on the other half, I'm gonna show a YouTube video of the FBA, the what's it called, Fundamental Black Americans. I don't know. I even got ADOS from it, but yeah. So let's go ahead and take this break, and we will be right back. Yes, ladies and gentlemen, the Wet Network is officially up. Please go and check that out. But also, I got to show a little donation that's been going pretty well. Tish, you want to tell everybody about it because it's been successful, even though 2 people have beat my donation record of $65. Go ahead and tell them about it.
Yes, yes, yes. Thank you. Thank you. I want to thank everyone that has been participating in donating to the African Roots and Heritage Foundation. We are going to Cameroon in March 2020, and we're going to provide a global day of service to the Bosco Secondary School, which is in a rural area of Cameroon. They reached out to me and asked me, could I provide the internet? So not only will we provide internet, but we also will provide tablets. And so far, we raised enough money that we were able to go ahead and purchase the tablets today. So thank you for the donations, but keep them coming in because we still need to get that internet. And we're almost to our goals. Be it $5, be it 50, be it 500. We want to thank
65.
you. All of it is very, very welcome. And yes, Donnell held the lead for a $65 donation for a very long time. But since that time, on yesterday, actually, we got 2 $100 donations that that really pushed us over the mark, that allowed us to go ahead and make the purchase. So everything will be here and ready to go to Cameroon. The Culture FM, the host of the festival, she sent me a video clip this afternoon of the children saying thank you. I have not even told them where we are yet in the donations, but they're thanking you in advance. So later on in the show, we'll watch that clip. So go ahead, if you haven't had a chance to get your donation in, go ahead and click on the link. It'll take you to PayPal, and you can put any amount in. And also know that we are a registered 501c3 with the federal government. And when you get your receipt, it'll give you our tax ID number if you have any questions. So go ahead, click on that link, make your donations, be it $5, be it $500, be it $5,000 if you want to be a sponsor. We gladly accept it. And we're going to have more fundraisers coming on because we're going to go back to Tanzania in June. They have asked me to come back and do a summer institute for 3 weeks. So in that community, I don't know what we're going to bring, but what's not used for Cameroon will be used in Tanzania. So we have a busy travel plans this year. Once we go to Tanzania, then in November, the 5th annual Artisan Conference will take place in South Africa. And there we're also going to do a global community day of service. So go ahead. Thank you, Kandi Mambo, Baraka, Asante Sana. There were 3 different African languages saying thank you. Kandi Mambo.
Those 2 guys that gave you the 2 guys that gave you $100. I hope they watch right now. You suck. I had that record. I had it.
Well, I'll tell you this. Okay, you still have the record because as a man, you have given the most. The others were female. So you're still holding the man record.
Okay. Hey, look, I can have a best style too. Okay, I'm cool with that. But ladies and gentlemen,
I love it.
It's right there at the bottom, above the realchildboypopcorn.com. Cheap pop. Donate. Like I always say about donations, please do not donate your life savings. I know this is tough times, hard times. Yes. Hopefully, President Biden, I think he already signed the stimulus plan. I just wish that 2 G's were every month, like in the other countries. But donate. $1 will go a long way. $65 can go a long way too as well. Donate. Help get these kids the laptops and the education that they deserve. So I'm gonna keep
it. And if anything in life, we have to always remember that. Oh, she said while I'm watching, I can't select the link.
Oh, you can't select it. You gotta just go ahead and just type word for word. We apologize about that. Just copy and paste it and just put it up in the search bar.
Right, and a lot of us do.
Can you put it in the chat?
Oh, I could do that in the chat too.
Yeah, put it in the chat.
I got you. But yeah,
So a lot of us do donate in different causes. This you got to think that this is a real cause that you feel like you can feel those children when you see those videos. You can feel them through Sister Anita. She's talking. So I do encourage everyone to, I do have my plans to donate, and I'm with Sister Anita most of the time. I'm trying to make one of those trips myself. So it's about donating time. So but definitely, I'm still trying to figure out I'm gonna do it this year. But definitely, definitely, I want.
I'm gonna tell you something, Mayo, that I tell people, and Donnell is a witness. You remember after we finished the African Roots and Heritage Festival in 2011, and I was kind of tired, wore out, tapped out, and everything, and I didn't even want to do another festival because financially it had strapped me so much. And you said, Sister Anita, even if you don't have it to do it anyway. Right. And at the time, that sounded like craziness, but I understood it because that's where I am. I'm doing it anyway.
Well,
and the universe is making a way for it to be done. So thank you, brother, for that advice.
It's the least I could do. I mean, back then what we did, and because the festival was here on ground, and just the beauty of seeing people come together. Like I said, this whole Pan African movement. It seemed like we did everything. But anyways, and it was just too beautiful for me to see it stop and not wanting to keep going. So that's what I said. But I appreciate you. Thank you.
Right. So yeah, once again, ladies and gentlemen, I put the link in the comments. So go ahead and donate $5 for $5 if you're feeling froggy to help out teaching her journey and also to help out the children in Cameroon. Now let's go to the second half of this show where now we talk about Tone Talks, well, ADOS versus FBA. So let's go ahead and just check out the video. Hopefully y'all can hear it. Here we go.
A movement of politics, a very succinct politics around the Black agenda and reparations. ADOS is a movement of a lineage. Anybody that's ADOS can go out and talk. And I think that for themselves, for their families, for their community. But we have a specific message. And one of the things that I can appreciate about the New York Times article about what you guys have done with the different chapters, it's been in line with that message. What I'm kind of seeing right now is a splintering in sorts. And I just want to be clear. I'm not at all trying to be divisive when I say this. In 2018, to my recollection, Tariq came in, and I appreciate his support. I don't know him personally. I've never talked to Tariq on the phone. I appreciate that support, but then, like, I believe in the top of 19, right around, February, March, he started using FBA, which is a whole nother term. It created a splintering that I don't feel was necessary, but he has a right to do. The reason we call it American Descendants of Slavery is that we're making a claim. It's part of it is the legality of it all. The other thing is to ground this group that for so long has been lost in Americanness, and then also make a legal institution understand how it rooted a people in terms of slavery. The FBA thing just started coming about and being used, and I myself don't really understand it, but it's okay. Everybody has the right to use it. I never said anything because of that. We came forward, and then you have Tariq announcing last week, I believe, a competing conference. I've never talked to Tariq Nasheed. I send him messages once in a while. He doesn't really respond, sends thumbs up sometimes. Maybe once or twice, 3 times he's responded. I want to say clearly that I invited Tariq Nasheed to our conference when it first got announced. You know, we went back and forth, but then I didn't see the interest level there, so I didn't want to actually, you know, I was waiting for him to say anything back if he wanted to come or not. Nonetheless, we had the conference. It was a rousing success. I really don't understand the announcement of a conference that competes and splinters Black folks in terms of the amount of resource they have. A few months before our conference, everybody has their right to do what they do. Essentially, Black folks that are flying across the nation only have so much resource. I don't necessarily understand some of the messaging from Judge Joe Brown and what he talks about at times to, economic, like what we're talking about is the fact that working age Black folks, and I'm not guessing when I say this, are largely wealthless. And the demand we have is very succinct. It's reparations, a Black agenda, and a recognition of the transformational things that have to happen in government for that to happen. This tweet, along with some of the elements I've seen, and I haven't seen any details, but the elements I've seen about, Black, it's almost Black aspiration in a way that's seeding into the secondary message, doesn't fall in line with ADOS as I see it. But we all are people, and you guys can believe what you believe. What I'm telling you, without question, is that I have been reviewing the data for almost 5 years, that I've worked with the leading economists, that I talk to the wealthiest Black man in the nation possibly quite regularly about the reality of how at the top, things that you guys don't even know, Black folks are locked out. People that you think are making money are not making money. I'm trying to transform that. Let's stay on message, because we don't need anybody coming in here and casting us as something that we're not. We're not right wing. We largely don't support Donald Trump.
Well, that was the end of that video, but I'm gonna go find another one. But what do y'all think about that as I continue to look for others?
He didn't say anything.
Well, I mean, yeah,
I was looking for a comparison between ADOS and the FBA. He was just complaining that Tariq wasn't responding to his inquiry, and he had invited Tariq to his conference. So he didn't say anything for me.
Well, it was hard for me to really get his message, because he was going around and around and and all that. But I think the way he ended that is what kind of got me all popped up, because I know that one of the things that I thought made ADOS more popular was a lot of them that they quite might have not supported Donald Trump as a group, but a lot of them might have supported him because of his border policy. Which I mean, I either here or there. I mean, I'm not. I don't want to make it like well, oh yeah, we should let people in, whatever whatever that But just to realize that a lot of them had that xenophobia thing. Well, we don't want people to come in, take our jobs, and this that. So he was kind of going there about not being Republican or not being right wing or whatever. Of course, they're not right wing if they ask for reparations, but that's where politics intersections is, this comes in where you got people that want something that some right wing might want, and then they still want some other things that left wing might want. So that's they're just an average American. They sound like but I think they're trying to distinguish themselves, and the goal. The only thing I'm worried about is if the goal has a side effect, in the sense of division.
Let me ask you a question, Mayo. You live in Columbus. I lived there for almost 15 years. And coming from my city to Columbus, it was very, very different, totally different culture. And that's what I recognize, the large African population. We have a large population here, but usually, before I moved, the only time that you really ran into Africans is that if you were on a college campus, you didn't know where they lived. They definitely didn't have the stores or the presence that they have now in my city. But when I went to Columbus, my first recollection when I worked for the county is that I had 7 different Africans working in my office, one from Rwanda, one from Nigeria, one from Somalia, one from the one guy from Togo, Somalia, Eritrea. I'm trying to name them because it's 7. It was 7, okay, and that's how we started doing the festivals, because I had to open my eyes and see what was around me, because my city was split, black and white and Mexican. Mexicans lived over there, blacks and whites worked over here, whites lived over there, Mexicans lived over there. They had their own little town. You didn't work with Mexicans because they worked over there, you know. So I live in a very segregated city, residentially, and as far as the labor force was concerned. So to come to Columbus and see so many different Africans on the job, I didn't feel any intimidation or Africans are taking our jobs. I didn't feel that. But is that the climate today in Columbus?
Well, I don't. First of all, I don't know, because I'm not, looking for jobs, and I kind of run my own business. So thank God to that. But I think that it's not just quote unquote Africans, men for second generation African Americans. It's probably more, also Hispanic community. I mean, America keeps getting bigger and bigger. So I mean, and people are having kids and babies, and you keep seeing their names a bit different. I don't know if my you can't hear me. But no, I'm saying America is getting bigger, and people are just getting more. You're seeing different shades of different nationalities. So one can perceive it to be like there's more of that happening, and people are gonna look for the more new babies they're having. You see a name that doesn't look like yours. The more you're gonna see think that. Oh yeah, she said it wasn't very clever. The message was, well, we're gonna see more of just those people getting jobs, because when they come out of high school, college, they're gonna want a job. I mean, look at the NFL and the NBA today. Now there's the most highest number of Nigerians in the NFL and in the NBA. I think there was something about that in this past finals, during the NBA finals, where they had the most. It was just something to celebrate. Nigerians were a big number of Nigerians drafted and currently in the NBA, and I just don't understand. I mean, if I can get $1 for every time I've heard, oh, you Nigerians, you guys are very smart, very driven, this, that. Oh, we know you. It's like okay. I wish I was, I wish I was all what you call me. I'm that dude that was trying to smoke weed.
Not to interrupt.
I think you've been watered down. That's what it is.
So the co-person that with ADOS is Yvette Carnell. I saw her face in my eyes. Yvette Carnell. She is the other co-founder of ADOS. So I brought our friend back on the Black Authority and to get his take on ADOS. And even though it's a 15-minute long video, we're not going to say too much. So we just going to get to the important parts. But here's his take.
Which brings us to the next topic of discussion. Brothers and sisters, remember when I was telling you a couple of weeks ago, a couple of months ago, that ADOS, as led by the LGBT activists Antonio Moore and Yvette Carnell, that they weren't going to make it to the election. I said this in 2019, that they weren't going to make it through the next year. I would like to revise that particular prediction. I said that they weren't going to make it through the next year. Brothers and sisters, at the rate they're going, they'll be lucky if they make it through the next month. At the rate they're going, they have completely turned against each other. They have completely collapsed. Hookjaw and Mushmouth are in free fall. Their video counts have plummeted. Their supporter numbers have abandoned them. I said they weren't going to make it to the election. They might not make it through the Iowa caucuses. And right now, That's basically a month from now. They're not going to make it through the caucuses at the rate they're going. This so-called organization, which attempted to hijack a lineage and claim that a lineage needs to be represented by an organization of individuals who are completely against the lineage, by the way. They sat here and told you that they got it. They got the answers. They got the data. The new black media completely disarmed them, discredited them, and debunked them. Now that they have been totally isolated, what we predicted would happen, it started happening immediately. The so-called leaders of the political wannabe organization LGBT front group, ADOS, have gone on a campaign of attacking their own members now. They are publicly on Twitter. Talk about being politically unsophisticated. They're not doing this behind closed doors and communicating to people. They're doing this publicly. Everything for these people is about a public beef and a public conflict for the purposes of getting eyeballs and an audience. What is this, World Star Hip Hop? What is this, Love and Hip Hop? You're here for ratings or to get viewers? So everything is about being as messy as you can and hoping that some soap opera gossip is going to hold an audience for you, but it's not about any actual action. Certainly not anything constructive. They have gone on a campaign now for the last weeks of attacking their own people. Now, this isn't me saying it. These are the members who are saying Yvette and Tone are attacking us publicly.
Okay, so I'm just going to stop it right there. So what do y'all think about that analysis from the Black Authority?
He really didn't say what the attack was, but I would tend to agree with the assessment that it really could not last, because for me, what I've heard concerning that whole xenophobia, if you study history, just right here in America, the nativists and every generation of new immigrants will always have the idea that somebody else from across the water, no matter where that water was, is coming to take our jobs. That was the old KKK rhetoric. It's just rhetoric. They're going to take our jobs. And I want to refer back to Mayo and real lifetime. Like I described, when I first got there were 7 different Africans that worked in my office. Throughout the system, I don't know. But these people were qualified. They didn't take my job. I was there. You know what I'm saying? They didn't take my job. I was there. Right. And then they still had a shortage of people. But what I did see with my own eyes, and I'm part of this, is that I chose to take an African husband. And I seen this with my brother. He lived in Ohio for a while. Then he moved back to Detroit. Then, he would come back down to Ohio because I lived there. And, he was always trying to pick up a girl. But from the last time he was there and the next time he was there was a change in the dating scene. And he told me about it. He said, I went to talk to this girl and all she wanted to know was I from Africa. And so he would come to me and ask me for the names of some cities.
Oh, wow.
In Africa, so he can say, he's from this country or that country.
Whatever it
because
takes.
the women were gravitating to the African men. And I'll tell you as a woman, and I'll speak for myself, but most likely the other women that I have that live in Columbus that are married to African men is that these men are dedicated to working. Most of them will work 2 or 3 jobs.
Mm.
So and even in my own family, they say, well, how can your husband just come from across the water and just start working 2 jobs? Because he has never been unemployed since he's been on American soil. And I say it's like this. He came here with a mission and purpose, and that was to work. And that is for nearly all, if not most, of the African men and women that that migrate to America. They come for the purposes of working.
Mm.
So, and they have a network. By me being part of that community, I learned that there's networks that the African American community just don't have. So, with my husband, he first lived in Detroit. He came to Detroit when I moved to Columbus. And then we met, I think, 6 months after I moved to Columbus. And then eventually, he came to Columbus. But he had a network here in Detroit. When he got here, the next morning he was working. Okay.
Oh,
Because
snap.
they come to work. And so when I was looking to move to Washington, he tapped into that network and lined up a job because my job was going to Washington. So they network on a different level than the people here in the United States. So those are things that I've seen and witnessed with my own eyes, is that the African man has made himself attractive to African American females.
Well, I say, maybe perhaps because you said I've been watered down, Americanized, whatever. I can't tell. No, I'm playing. I don't hear too many people knocking on the door. They ain't knocking on that door neither. There's a closet. But it is what it is. I think that the drive that people often talk about is there because once you've seen struggle that's greater than the struggle or worse than the struggle that's here, you kind of then not throw away, but you kind of overlook some of the BS that you get, from our white counterparts and some of ourselves. I mean, it's and that's probably what it is, and that's probably what makes people look like they have that drive. Once you're in a place where, you just see, pure poverty. You see hardness of poverty and everything, then you get here and you realize that you have all these things that that you could have more as well as everybody else have, but they're giving the hand-me-downs, and you're like, well, I'll take the hand-me-down because at least there's none over where so and no, you hear me out. Like I'm saying it's a subconscious thing. It's a and perhaps that's the same mentality that we joke about, and I won't say we. Actually, okay, heck, I say we, but I'm just saying people joke about Mexicans and Jamaicans, how they come in, they can live all in one house, and before you know they own the house. I mean, I've heard that before, and I mean, and it's true. I mean, when you come from a place where the struggle is real or realer, I don't know if that's the right word, but and you come and then so it is what it is. But bottom line is, but my challenge is, why are we not learning from each other? Why are we not hey?
And that's the reason. That's the reason why we put together the festival, to share culture, to see what's not working and see what is working and adapt to it. I think the African or any immigrant, they see America as the land of opportunity, and they take that opportunity. To whereas those that are homegrown, there's obstacles to overcome, and the African is not just himself. He has a whole family that's depending on him, that's rooting for him, that's pushing him, that's calling him at 3 o'clock in the morning saying, my mama's sick and I need a bag of rice. So they have a lot of weight on their shoulders that that they're willing to bear. That is their motivation.
I want to jump in real quick, but first, Sky Zone Society is the second-hand sponsor of this show. If you want teas, pictures, they also got drone videos. Yes, drones. They take a picture with drones and videography with drones. Sky Zone Society. Check out the website at the bottom, strolling right now. So what I'm hearing teach is kind of like, you know, with the new phones, like the AT&T commercial that's coming out now, all new AT&T customers would get this and this and this and this. But as the customer that's already with AT&T, you're not getting that. No. And that's what I hear with, and that's what I hear when, you know, we're here in America and seeing other people come in, no matter who they are, succeeding, being successful, and you sitting there looking like, yo, what the hell? This American dream that they hear, but we live in an American nightmare, and it's crazy because, you know, I used to have AT&T. I'm gonna throw that out there. You know, at the time, great service and all that stuff. And then you have your good friend of yours got a brand new phone. You told him to join AT&T. They say, hey, man, I got my brand new phone. That's nice. I got this, unlimited that. I'm like, hold on, what? I don't got unlimited. And you try to call AT&T, you'd be like, yo, can I make mine unlimited? Oh, no.
That's for new customers only.
Mm-hmm. That is crazy.
Not for the old faithful customers. For new customers.
Yeah, I'll quit and I'll rejoin just to get the perks now.
Right, and that's what people do. Like with DirecTV, I remember when DirecTV was having a little promotion where, you know, you already have all these channels, but if you're new, you get these channels too. Remember when the movie channels were for new customers only? I remember one time when Stars was still a thing, getting Showtime, Cinemax, and all that stuff. You couldn't get it if you already had the service. So that's what I'm getting at. But let's go ahead and hit this question real quick. Is this why? I'm gonna
exactly why. Exactly why. Yes, that's an excellent question.
You know,
I guess I'll go through it.
Yeah, you know, that's
tomato. That's your lane.
Right. So, man, and that's why I tell you what, if you know any brother of Omega Psi Phi Fraternity Incorporated, and they know who I am, because a lot would do. They would know you, and they would tell you that I am somebody who's a stickler on getting on us, and I'm not talking about just our 1 out of 9, because we're 1 out of 9. That I believe that we're nowhere close to our potential. You know, we got so much work to do. You know, I mean, this is what we should be doing. We should be trying to find a way to bring people together. You know, like all this ADOS, whatever. I mean, you know, we need to shut them down. Make sure we can come together in a way where psychologically and spiritually. Well, I won't say spiritually. We all have different. Well, we can say spiritually in the sense of blackness, but not, you know, in the sense of faith, whatever, because we have different faiths, whatever. But we just come together and understand that, you know, we could do better together than just find ways to separate each other. You know, we can build so much. We have a black bank. My frat has a credit union. I mean, the only ones that have credit. I mean, we talking about one black bank. There's so many things that we have. You know, the Deltas are the most. You know, they have the most numbers in out of all the Divine Nine, and I mean, they have members of Congress everywhere. I mean, and they can easily talk to the members of Congress that this is what we want. That's what we want. But our culture is so jacked up somewhat because it's like what we gravitate to whoever is popular or has much money. So then at that point, the organization's leaders, instead of them pushing the agenda to those leaders, they're like, oh, whatever the leaders say, that, you know, they got titles, they got money, they got and it's backwards, in opposed to, hey, this is the organization you're a part of. I mean, can you imagine? I'm a part of an organization that Shaq is involved in, Michael Jordan. I mean, I could keep going, and the list goes on. And I know today, if you call MJ, if you call Shaq and say the leader of Omega Psi Phi wants to do this, they'll be like, oh, I'm going to do it, because they pledged. I know what it is. We pledge to make sure we do the best for Omega. So it's just actually having that understanding enough to try to get this in and get them for the right plan, put a plan together, you know, and try to get them to do the right thing. So, you know, if it's actually going to teach people how to fish, as opposed to all these athletes buying people stuff, like Christmas time, this guy bought all this family stuff. I'm not saying they should not. I'm just one of teach people how to fish and opposed to end up fish. Because what you're doing is that cycle comes back around. And like the next time it's like hold on, what's my stuff this time? It's like no, there's so many things that we can do, and let's get to start teaching people how to do those things. Financial, education, a whole lot. So that's where it's at. And they can be the one. Like my friend now went to Africa. Just my last story. My friend, we have Omega Cherries, right?
Mm-hmm.
So we went to build, I think, over 50 boreholes, maybe over 100. I don't quote me, it's a lot. Over 50 boreholes in a village in Ghana, because we have a chapter in Ghana now. So Ghana, Africa. So we did that project, and I remember we was in a meeting, and I probably should never talk about it, but a couple of brothers that asked, why are we doing that? Why didn't some Ghana? We got people starving here. So the topic of tonight was, and I didn't say anything because I wasn't in that meeting, but I knew not to say anything because but our leaders answered the right way, because our people need stuff over there, and and there are people that just corrected the question the right way. It don't matter because we're Americans and they're not in America. There still are people, and outside that, there's people who are struggling for water. You want to compare that to you because your kids need some whatever, bikes, whatever, they need some PS2, what I mean, and that's what they responded to. And I'm glad the response wasn't that way. But my point is just that more of that. Let's get people in line to let them understand that we got to come together. So that's
right. So to be fair to ADOS, so we got another video I'm about to show. First of all, even though we do a little bit of cussing, I believe we've been doing great of cutting it out. This one going to have a lot of vulgar language, so I'm just going to give y'all that warning. She is actually defending ADOS, Tone Talks, and Yvette. So after this, I want to get your thoughts, and as well as the audience, I want to get your thoughts too on this as well. So like I said, warning for the language.
So Yvette apparently, according to y'all, disrespected the fuck, right, out of Dr. Claude Anderson. This is what you have told me. And I said, well, I haven't seen that. I really don't see Yvette. What do you consider, first of all, disrespect? I can be disrespectful. I have said some disrespectful shit about people. I really have. I know I have. When I do it, I know that that's what I'm doing. And I know that's what it is, right? But I don't see her being, first of all, disrespectful to anybody. I don't hear her cussing people out. She doesn't call people out of her name. So I guess the first thing that you need to ask yourself is, what do y'all consider disrespect? Because my final answer, we're going to final answer in this motherfucker tonight until y'all give me something else to work with, because what y'all done gave me, y'all done failed like a motherfucker. Michi has a mind. I know how to think for myself. I understand how agents work. I understand how people come in and co-op movements. I completely understand how Black Lives Matter, right, turned around and Van said she did. Somebody said she didn't. I'm going to tell you, I don't think that she did. So somebody sent me the video because I needed to see it. So let's talk about that, right? And let people stay. I don't know if y'all deleting people. Like, if they don't agree with me, that's fine. Let me tell you, I love my boy Ramses, and he doesn't agree with me when he looks at this report that Antonio Moore was a part of doing. But I'm going to tell you what I see, whether y'all like it or not. So if people have a different opinion and how they feel, like, let them stay. If they want to be like, she did be disrespectful, maybe everybody has a different idea of disrespect, okay? And for me, I didn't see any disrespect. So somebody sent me the video. Several people sent me the video. I watched it. It's a 3-hour video. I didn't watch it all. Towards the end, you have phone calls and things like that. But I watched it long enough to get an understanding of whether I felt she was being disrespectful. So let me first and foremost say, just like Yvette did in her video, that I don't have a problem with Dr. Claude Anderson. I have read his books. I agree with a lot of the stuff that he says. So now let's talk about her video. For all of y'all that keep saying that, did you watch the video or did you let some faceless motherfucker tell you she disrespected the hell out of our elders and we can't be having this? Tell me how she disrespected him. I saw this woman go live, and I saw this woman first and foremost say, I'm not here to disrespect anybody. I heard her talk about all of the things that she did agree with. Yes, did y'all not hear that? Most of y'all didn't watch the video. That's my problem with y'all. Y'all just ran with the fuck somebody told y'all. She didn't call this man out his name. She did not say that his work is a piece of shit. She didn't say this old motherfucker. She didn't do none of that. She said, I agree with this. I agree with that.
Does she ever show the video?
Things that he said. She first
no, she does not.
to the shit that she agreed with.
Okay, so she's just giving her critique.
These things
basically just hearsay.
Outdated, and let me tell you why. We're in a new day and age. She critiqued this man. Now, let me tell you something. I am one that believes in giving respect to our elders, but I don't think that respect to our elders means that you're not allowed to critique anything that they have done. Let's get this clear. If the elders that were before us that have done so much work in this fight, if they had gotten everything right, we wouldn't still be here fighting this fight. Yes or no? Can we agree on that? So maybe there were some things that they overlooked. Maybe it was some things that they missed. Does it make them a bad person or any of that shit? At the end of the day, maybe it's something he overlooked. Maybe it's that we're in a new day and age. And like she said, some of the shit that he presented back then doesn't really work today. I don't understand how that's being disrespectful for her saying that. I don't understand how you know what that shit reminds me of? It reminds me of that shit that in the Black family, we're not ever supposed to question any elders because that's disrespectful. You do know that some of the elders is disrespectful as fuck. Not saying Dr. Claude Anderson is, but what I'm saying, what is this thing of? So now is disrespectful to just question? Is disrespectful to critique? And at the end of the day, he is a man that is speaking about reparations in a way to get it. So it is someone else that doesn't agree with his method. So it's a difference in how they agree on the methods. I didn't see any disrespect. I didn't. So for people in the chat, right, who want to say that she was disrespectful, like tell me, how do you think that she was
say anything else?
I didn't even call that man.
Yeah, I'll get ready to stop it, and just wanted to get y'all take on all the things you heard, other than all the vulgarity and all the nice, colorful language that she was saying. What do y'all take?
First of all, who is she? Which one? What's her?
She's Missy X.
Oh.
She is an activist. She is one of the Black YouTubers. She leans on the Black conscious movement. She is actually a big supporter of ADOS. So she's basically, the story that she was talking about is, the video is actually long, that what she's talking about is Boyce Watkins, even though he's very iffy, he was saying he don't like ADOS. He thinks that ADOS is a big waste of time. Basically going back to what Cheech is saying, nothing but, a brand new name for something that's been happening for centuries. And Yvette Carnell had a video critiquing him and explaining what ADOS is and where Boyce Watkins is wrong. So you got like a half and half going at ADOS, and that's where the FBA comes into play. I think FBA didn't get a name when this video happened, but then she has this video, and then she came out in support. But by watching this video, do you think that she has some grounds to step on with defending ADOS? And don't say, and this goes for people in the audience and people who also will be watching this when it's recorded, that it's just her opinion. I don't want to hear that. That's not an answer. That's a cop-out. What do you think she got legs to stand on with this? This floor is open.
For me, as he said, she said idle gossip. She lost me in the first line, and she just kept repeating herself. So I don't even see what she's saying is valid to anything.
Right. I see a lot, and thank you, Sister Anita. I certainly agree. I see a lot of just tacky talk. I mean, don't get me wrong. I when I'm comfortable with folks who I feel like I'm comfortable with, I use languages that whatever that she's using, but sometimes I joke around with them, people that pretty much my comfortable zone. I can speak that I could speak like that when I'm in comfortable space. When I mean by that, people that I'm real close to. But so that's not what I'm talking about in particular. It's just the message is like I don't get it. It's just like it's like tacky. Always, it's individual based. It's not idea based. I love idea based conversation.
Yes. So I will fast forward a little bit in the video for her, and I should have did that with the other one too. But I want to fast forward up in there because I actually seen this video before, and she deep dives in it much more, and also dissing other people. Once again, ladies and gentlemen, please have your kids in the other room.
I'm gonna go in the other room. I'm gonna go in the other room.
So
I'm uncomfortable with her language.
Yeah, so I'm just gonna play it just a little bit more, and so give it much more of a deep dive on what she's talking about.
We're dealing with tonight. People have sent me videos. I've read reports and articles. We're gonna speak with what's true. I didn't say that. Tariq Nasheed said that. The man that's in charge of the FBA conference. He said that.
He said, she said.
Alfonso said that was never stated. No, sweetie, you don't get to come in here and you don't get to just say things based on what you feel. He did fucking say that. He said it several times.
She's talking about Tariq Nasheed.
He said, we're not the same as them.
But
we're not even in
she
we got
said.
on him in the beginning. So, I mean, if you're going to be a part of what's going on, like at least follow the fight. Somebody said that's what you're doing. Okay, Alfonso, I was gonna be nice. If he say one more dumb thing, can you just delete him? I don't have patience for stupid people. I've had all the patience I got. Michi's not that patient. I go from 0 to 1,000 real quick, and I'm being real nice, okay? Because now you're just fucking talking out the side of your neck. That's what I'm doing. What am I doing? I don't have a movement for politics.
But reparation is politics. I'm just saying.
Stuff. Matter of fact, I've said that.
I know, but what I'm saying is she's not bringing up any valid points.
No.
He said, she said, I feel, they said, and me as an observer, I don't know what she's talking about. If she said things like, Tariq said that X, Y, and Z. Mm-hmm. And counterpoint or support the point. But he said, she said, oh, I don't like what you said. And if you say another dumb thing, to me, this is just ghetto people, mindless people that just, it's not scholarly. It's just not on my level. It's not on my level.
They're gonna make a video about you, Anita. Hey, don't add me to it. No, I'm kidding.
but see,
she's gonna make a video about you.
She can make a video.
She said it's a ghetto talk.
But see, this is the issue. This is why I'm happy that we have this platform, this show that we have. And I know probably a couple of her followers probably already seeing this right now. This hashtag Fade to Black is talk about a show that you did earlier last year and probably gonna cuss us up and down. I invited you. Can always come on the show. But see, this is the issue, and this is not going too much off the subject, where you got people, and she got a following. She got subscribers.
The Pied Piper led all the rats to the sea.
Yeah, and so you got people out here on YouTube and even on Facebook that have shows where they just giving their opinion, but they don't realize that when you got millions of people, maybe even thousands of people, maybe billions of people, those impressionable minds, and I'm not just talking about kids, you have adults, as we saw what happened at the Capitol, have impressionable minds, and they will take that opinion, make it into fact, and then that fact will slowly turn into a truth where you can't even turn them back and say like what you was believing is a hoax, you have been brainwashed, and you're not going to believe it. This is what we're fighting against. This is what's happening. This is what's going on. And it's just crazy to understand because for this, so if anybody come in the middle of this show, I put my head to the sky, I will step on my product. I will step on this product that I'm proud to have everybody on. That when you come into the middle of this show, don't even start from the beginning. You would know what we're talking about and you can relate. Not just go up onto a show where you just hear nothing but vulgar language and like Teach said, hearsay, they say, and all that stuff. But let's say if y'all really want to know what was going on with ADOS, did she really explain her side on how much she support him? And did she convince you enough to be like, okay, ADOS is a pretty good group?
Well,
none of the above. No. I feel, that was a show made for ratings. And when people have a profile, she has built a profile for herself where she has followers. And I think that when you put yourself and make a limelight, you have to be responsible. But at this day and age, they don't feel any responsibility to the character that they have created. And that's what's dangerous, because I believe if you're idle and you like gossip and you like the shock appeal, yes, you tune in, because what are you doing in your life that this becomes center focus? What are you doing? You're not doing anything in your life because you don't have any standards. You don't have any values. And if you had standards and values, I mean, I tuned out the first 2 or 3 seconds. I just couldn't take it. I listened to what she said, but she didn't say anything. I gave her the chance, but she never made one point. Right. All she said, well, he said, and she said, and they said, and if this person comment and say something else.
Yeah.
But that's how she makes her money. We talked about YouTubers and people, getting the proceeds from being a YouTuber. That's the way she make her money. Does she even really believe what she's saying? She could. I don't know. But that's how she's making her money. A part of it anyway.
Right. I got another video. This time, the man himself, Tariq Nasheed. Now, this is a short video. This is 5 minutes long. He actually, lately, he been going on Instagram Live. And he been, talking to his fans and all that stuff and haters. So on this edition of Tariq on Instagram Live, he actually got confronted by ADOS member. So I have not seen this video. So let's go ahead and take a look, see how that went.
Okay, this nigga. Okay, brother, get on camera. All right. What's up, brother? You've been on here before, right?
No, I've never been on here before. This is my first time talking to you personally.
Can't hear it.
It's an honor to meet you, man. I watch your movies. I like your movies a lot, but I don't like the way you disrespecting the movement. I think you off code, and I think you need to get back on code, because I really.
Hey, Teach, you say you can't hear it?
Okay, there's no volume. I'm not getting any volume.
Oh, really?
Can you hear me, Teach?
Hello, Sister Anita.
Teach, hello?
Can y'all hear me, though? Can you hear me?
Can you hear us?
I'm here.
I know you're here,
but I can't hear. I don't hear anything. No, no hearing.
Yeah, I must be on her side.
Yeah, turn it off and come back in. Let me go ahead and message her. Hold up.
Yeah. So yeah, wow. So the guy up top is the Tariq Nasheed, and the guy at the bottom is the ADOS guy.
Yes. So so ladies and gentlemen, we gonna go ahead and take a break, extended break until we tell Teach gets up. We can hear her. Can you hear us?
Hello, can you hear her? Cause we can hear her before. She just couldn't hear.
I can hear you now.
Oh, there you go.
There you go. That's all nervous stuff. You know the popular one on the show, Teach. We difficult. This should not be happening with you. But all right, okay. So once again, the story is once again, this is the first time I've seen this video. So if any cussing happens, we'll warn you right now, it could be vulgar language, but it's probably not going to be as worse as the last video we saw. I will promise you that. So this is my first time seeing this video and the panelists. So this is Tariq Nasheed, the founder of the FBA, and then we got ADOS member coming on his Instagram Live.
We appreciate the way you beat when
You've been on here before, right?
No, I've never been on here before. This is my first time talking
Okay.
to you personally.
There you go.
It's an honor to meet you, man. I watch your movies. I like your movies a lot, but I don't like the way you disrespecting the movement. I think you off code, and I think you need to get back on code because I really appreciate the way you beat when you on code, man.
Now, how am I off code? Go ahead.
Because right now you're disrespecting the founders and the leadership of ADOS, which helped you get started with your FBA, which is undercutting the movement.
I don't have an FBA. You understand me? I don't have an FBA. I don't have an organization. I'm not the leader of anything, and I'm not the founder of anything. So let's get the terms straight, okay? Nobody helped me with anything because I don't have anything like that. I don't have an organization. Let's cut that out. We got to stop framing this stuff in the wrong manner. I don't have an organization, and I'm not nobody's leader. Okay? Let's be clear. Go ahead.
They do already have one. You need to fall in line like a good soldier should.
Fall in line with what?
With the army that is ADOS already, brother.
Now, what's that army, sir? What army are we talking about? Are you saying we're just saying random words here?
No, Yvette pointed it out. Go back and watch Yvette's video that I just finished watching in the middle of. Jumped off to see you come and do your own code bullshit.
Right.
Okay. Yvette already explained she has organizations all across the country ready to take steps that are politically motivated to get what we want done.
Well, she can knock herself
You
out.
need to fall in line like a good soldier. You're not. This is where my military comes in. And where I see that you need to fall in line with the leadership, and you don't understand the hierarchy of the organization that's already in place that you are co-opting.
I'm not in an organization.
They already have it in place. You are disturbing and disrespecting the leadership of the organization. You need to fall in line like a good soldier.
I'm not in an
organization. This is Veterans Day. Yesterday was Veterans Day. I'm a veteran coming to you, telling you you need to fall in line like a good soldier. I appreciate you and everything you do. Brother, I'm telling you, you need to fall in line. I appreciate you and everything you do. Brother, I'm telling you, you need to fall in line. Like a good soldier.
I'm not in an organization. Okay, brother. Thank you. My brother's just saying the same thing. My brother's My brother hit the pipe tonight. Okay. This is what Tone and Yvette has out here. My dude is clearly on the pipe. He's saying the same thing. My man is talking about fall in line like a good soldier in the leadership. I'm not in no damn organization. I've never signed up or co-signed an organization. I ain't falling in line with shit. I ain't in nobody's organization. If you want an organization, knock yourself out. I never co-signed an organization. We were talking about ADOS as a lineage, then they didn't flip this shit into an organization. Now, family, now you see why I'm like, oh, no. This type of shit right here, now you see this type of shit here is why I'm like, let's bring clarity to this. What's up, APX? How you doing, family? This, ladies and gentlemen, right here is why I'm cool on Tone and Yvette. This is the type of shit that's popping off with them, talking that organization, and we need the army and leadership and all that. Nigga, this is a fucking black identity extremist charge waiting to happen. This is a black identity extremist case just brewing to happen.
All right. What's your take on that? I was looking at your reaction the whole entire time. I was just trying to hold it together.
Well, what comes to my mind is Kool-Aid, cult, maniac. I don't have any good thoughts. And if he is a representative of ADOS, that's not anything that I would be associated with. And then the one thing that we did not bring up that I know about ADOS is that they refuse to take the DNA test. They refuse. Yeah. They refuse to take the DNA test.
I didn't know that.
Yeah,
I heard about that. Yeah.
Because they don't want their claim is they are the original indigenous people of this land. Because if they take a DNA test and they show that they actually came from Africa, then that just kills their claim of being the indigenous people of this land. So it's just totally, it's a runaway train that looks like it has derailed, according to who's that, the Black Authority, according to him, it has derailed because it has splintered itself off. This man approaching Tariq Nasheed, with the ideas, and I don't know how it got in his head, whoever he's talking to, that Tariq Nasheed has splintered off from ADOS and created the whatever the organization is. And Tariq Nasheed is saying, one, I don't belong to ADOS, and two, I don't have my own organization. You're totally misinformed. So it's a lot of misinformation that's going on in their ranks. I don't know how this man ranked, but it's too much misinformation. They're not controlling it. One thing I could say, well, with the NOI, well, this is a different day and age, but there's information in the closed meetings, and there's information that the public would get. These just seem to be wild card. Anybody and everybody can say whatever, however, whether valid, whether real, whether true, whether untrue, whether lie. It don't matter. If I can just get on YouTube and just talk and gather some people, I'm good. Mm-hmm. So what I have seen tonight does not show me anything serious. And they're talking about reparations. I wouldn't want them to represent me in rat court. They could not represent me in rat court. If it was a court of rats, they could not represent me, because it has no honor, no prestige, no scholarly work, no research. These are just idle people, underemployed, that have time on their hands to run gossip. It's an embarrassment. I would be embarrassed. I would be embarrassed to be associated with anything like that. And I don't know how other people feel. Maybe because I'm a senior. Maybe the young people, they run with that stuff because their heads are empty. They have not studied. And Mayo, what's that saying that Paul Cook used to say, Jawanza? History is most qualified by research.
Absolutely, yeah. But I'm about to get him on the show very soon. Brother Cook is one of those brothers that could put a lot of perspective to some of these things going on. I know he'd be going quick. He'd be going hot if he was watching this stuff right now. But go ahead. It's funny though. I mean, it's funny but sad. Just looking at that video, the one brother, first of all, he what is the he was talking about the code. Is it the code? I mean,
he said so the history, the story behind the code. What he was talking about is because Tariq Nasheed, when he have his shows like that, he always talk about black people being on code and staying on code. So that's where he was combating Tariq with his own thing. Like, why don't you get on code with ADOS because it's looking out for Black people and reparations?
But
And that's what
code mean like culture that we all
code as in when we have something, you stick with it. You stay with it.
Okay.
Yeah, because like I said, Tariq, now she always preaches on the show, and I agree with it to an extent. You know, he always say, well, like when it comes to the Chinese, you know, they may not agree with it, but if it's all agreed upon, they all stick with it. You know, they all stay in their little group. They stay in their group. They don't go in nobody else's lane. Like
what makes them think like they sit down and agree to stuff? It's just they do what they know that's better for the, you know, and naturally do what they know. Yeah, I mean, this whole idea that, you know, that it's code is like they sit. I mean, it's just so meant. See, I mean, out of everything that you were talking about, Sister Anita, even from the other lady, the first one, out of everything that I've seen, yeah, it's what people do today. People like drama, you know, like, you know, I okay, my guilty pleasure used to be I used to watch Housewives, you know. I mean, I mean that, you know, and this is like this. Well, I know you just. But, you know, I get bored when back then when I work so hard all day. I come out, you know, something that you know, something. It's like, but I knew that I hope no young lady was watching this, no young girls watching this and think that this is how to be. You know, it was something where, you know, like I know that this is the way we should not be, and this means that we have more work to do in our community. If this is how adults act, then we know that we have a lot of work to do. I woke up this morning. One of the tweets that came to my phone was on Twitter was ABC6, you know, here, and it was about a 14-year-old that was walking on the side of up north here in Columbus, walking. I don't know if he was walking home where he's going. 14-year-old got gunned down by some guy, a carjacker, gunned down, and it's like not more than one carjacker, gunned down, and I could tell with the name there was a black name, you know. Like Tyreek or something. I don't want to make but yeah, I could tell. I could tell it was black then. But they gunned down this 14-year-old and he died. And I just sat down there and thought, in the midst of a pandemic, you know, the idea that this carjackers gunned down a 14-year-old boy. This is where we at now. I mean, we are in so much of the society that we're in today is just out there and whack, you know, and everybody's doing their own thing, and you know they got followers and all this stuff. People want to see chaos. When people start watching World Star Hip Hop, I looked and I get it. They want to see somebody get knocked out and all that. I'm like, this is what's been fed to us as fun. Like Friday, oh, he got knocked. I remember me and my college teammates. You know, at some point I had to kind of like, well, this is kind of not funny. I mean, this is somebody getting knocked out. You know, like
it gets kind of sad.
Yeah, I mean, like, you know, it's just, I mean, so it took me a while to catch it. Like, you know, this is kind of not funny. I mean, like, I know, like, you know, why am I laughing with it? But you know, like, so I mean, you know, so that's where we at today. People are doing this because it's cool to them. It's, you know, because not only because it's cool, because somebody thought it was cool. Like the jocks thought it was cool, so everybody follows. We have a lot of followers than what we're raising out here. You got those kids that used to want to jump each other. They posted on World Star Hip Hop, you know, and people were watching it and made World Star Hip Hop popular. And I mean, and I'm like, this is what we have because we know there's no adults stopping them saying again, you don't do this. If you wanted the kids to jump that kid, I'm gonna tell you, I'm gonna have them put you in different.
And see to bring in what both you and Teach is saying about movements in general. You got movements out there that are good-hearted. You have movements that actually put in the work. And I'm not just talking about the groundwork. Here's the difference with just saying we do the work and not get and then you got groups that do the work and get the results. We keep going on these groups just like this that says they do the work. But then when you question about their work, then all of a sudden you this, your mama ain't that, your daddy ain't this, you know, your daddy was stupid. He should have just pulled out, paused, all that stuff. I mean, it is good to question what you are doing to these organizations. And then you got organizations that actually do the groundwork and actually get results. And it's not a shame of being asked the tough questions and answering them. And that is the issue. We're not looking at the groups and movements that are actually doing right, that's actually trying to improve the community, that's actually trying to improve the state, actually trying to improve the country and change it systemically within the system. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm going to say that again, within the system. Because if you sit there and say you're doing the work, you got this organization that is outside the system, guess what? You ain't nothing but noise. I actually had to think about this whole entire week of like, you know, because I've been watching I finally saw I'm Not Your Negro on Netflix, and it just made me think, you know, you got organizations outside sitting there saying, and see the way he's once again, hopefully see the way everything's going great on his end, who preaches, you know, working within the system don't work, and me and him come back with that respectfully. But I still say this: when you are on the outside looking in, you're going to be on the outside looking in. If you're not involved in your community, I'm keeping that simple terms. If you're not involved in the community, you won't believe that you are taking responsibility for everything that's going on. You are accepting what is going on around you. You could go ahead and yell at the police and saying that they killed somebody else, but where are you going to the town hall meetings? Where are you to put somebody else to replace that police chief? Where are you when you actually see police brutality happening and not recording it on your damn phone? Where are you? So when you got groups like ADOS, like I hate to keep using this phrase like they do with Black Lives Matter, it was all great at first, but then, like I was talking about Tone Talks, he just, you know, he just got too big for his britches. He thought that he could just talk about everybody else who is in their own lane trying to progress, you know, the black, you know, black issues, trying to find the solutions and problems. And he just thought that he could just talk about anything because ADOS is now this new thing now. And now, unfortunately, him and Carnell is reaping what they're sowing. And now you barely hear anything about ADOS.
Well, you know one thing that today's show has done for me, it has kind of like calmed me down about, you know, if that's the clowns that I'm worried about, I ain't got. I need to just stop worrying about them. I mean, if it is any of those, you know,
because they're self-destructive. Yeah. They're self-destructive, ineffective. There's no quality to anything. I mean, they're not going to do any. I mean, they're just. That's all. That's all. And you know, I have been. When I say I have been to the AU, I have sat in conferences and congresses from 8 o'clock in the morning to midnight, and sometimes 2 o'clock in the morning, with serious people pushing some serious issues, trying to get treaties addressed and passed. And then to come and hear this, it's just not even in my class. I can't even, it's just not, no.
And
we have to be responsible. And from what I've seen, that's the highest level of irresponsibility. And to that man that was trying to tell Tariq, you need to stay on code, what he's saying was, this is what I heard. You can't be diverse. You got to have our mind. We want to mind control you. Mm-hmm. Because as Africans, we don't have one experience. Us in the diaspora, we experience slavery. Those on the continent, they experience colonialism. That's two different experiences. Our experiences form and shape us. So we have to respect our differences, but we can have a common bond. But that doesn't mean that we will be robotically, my mind goes into your mind and you speak what I speak and Mayo speak what I speak. And we don't have to become Stepford.
Right. And
we can maintain our autonomy while rallying around a specific cause.
Mm-hmm. I like this comment right here. Hopefully, I'm gonna give y'all time to look at it. But y'all got 3 minutes to make your last points, and then we're gonna jump into Teachers African Studies Society. So any final points? But yeah, like I said, this is a good comment right here. Basically,
the sister's on point. Or the brother or sister, sorry,
yes,
the sister. Yeah, she's on point. I this is just what I was thinking coming into the show. Is I've never after my adult life never looked at myself as anything but a black man on the face of this planet. And trying to find out how I can make sure that my race is not the one at the bottom of the barrel no more, the one being kicked around and all that stuff. So outside my individual accomplishments I'm trying to have in life, I want to see what I can do to make sure that any race at all that's at the bottom is pulled up, especially if it's mine. Whatever I can do to make sure it's not. That's one of the things I hold to my chest. But to those guys, and I mean, they're trying to get popular. Today is this about being popular. People get paid for being popular. You get so many likes or so many followers, people get paid. So I don't. Yeah, I was thinking the ADO was more of a lot of educated folks too. There was no and because I mean those guys might be educated, but they don't show it right there. And too bad for the guy that is it F. You gotta remind me what the name of that other group is. The one that's
Fundamental Black America, Black people.
Okay, so when they come up with these names, they give me the perception, or they give me the illusion that they are somewhat educated, and they could be, but those videos I've seen today do not, that does not exude education or scholastic mindset to me, So, and I'm one of the people that I despise when we dismiss people because we feel like, oh, they don't know no better, So I don't like that. I don't want to do the same thing. I despise being hypocritical. But today it's kind of like I'm not dismissing them, but it's kind of like, oh, this is what they are. Okay, I get it. That's cool. But I didn't get what I thought I would get, which is like somebody making a concrete argument against the other group of African Americans, or all these arguments I thought they were making. I didn't hear that today, so I'm fine. I appreciate you bringing that.
All right. So now, ladies and gentlemen, we're gonna go and jump into teachers segment. I can't wait for it. I was gonna go ahead and do Beast community on his behalf, but we're not gonna have too much time squeezing it. So Teach, you are up. Ladies and gentlemen, get your passport ready. We're about to take a trip to Africa.
Good evening, everyone. Okay. We have a lot of things lined up. And the Cameroon trip, if you want to go, you can inbox me on Facebook at Anita Diop, and we can talk about it. It's not too late. We're actually extending the offer until the 31st of January. So if you have your passport ready, we're issuing the invitation letters for the visa, and you can join us on this trip. This is a festival, a cultural festival. Have you ever wanted to dive into the spiritual aspect of the culture, to know how a culture functions? This is what this festival is all about, going into the culture. And we're actually going to go to Bimbia, which is a slave port in Cameroon that was uncovered by Dr. Lisa Aubrey, that 1/3 of African Americans can find their heritage in this place. Also, we're going to look into the wildlife like we did in Tanzania, going to a national park. And one of the features in Cameroon are the gorillas and apes. So get your passport, get your money, inbox me and make it happen. We're going to show this little clip. This came in today from Cameroon, from the students. They're eager and excited for us to arrive. So they wrote it all in French, but I'll read it as it goes along. And basically they're saying, thank you for coming and helping us. Roll the clip. See if I can see it. This is the discovery of the village of Bongo. The school of Bongo was established as a modern school. Some of the buildings are not yet ready. They're under rehabilitation. And these are the students raising the colors of the flag. This is their morning formation. Students in class, eagerly waiting for their teachers. They are attentive. They show the students in various classes. And you can see their classroom is very rudimentary. They're taking a break from their activities. So these are the students that we will directly impact by the donations. You know, what they call football is soccer. We call it soccer. That's one of the greatest pastimes in Cameroon, that the students participate. In the sports, they do exercise. And these are the teachers of the school. Okay, quality teachers providing quality service. And this is a group picture of the staff and the students, and they say, thank you. So we thank you for tuning in, and we thank you for donating and supporting the African Roots and Heritage Foundation. And that will be our global community service work in Cameroon. Thank you. Kandi Mambo.
Ladies and gentlemen, once again, thank you for that nice trip. Once again, thank y'all for tuning into the show. We appreciate it and everything. So my final thought is the Wet Network is up. So I'm going to go in here. I'm going to play this for y'all one more time to let you know that your boy is not lying to y'all. Well, I wasn't lying to you in the first place. We told you that we was working on a network. So here we go. Ladies and gentlemen, you can tune into the Wet Network right here, where I'm already showing past episodes of hashtag Fade to Black. But I need 10 content creators. If you already got skin in the game, I'm meaning years of content, you know, even podcasts with just a video with the picture layovers. We want that too. Music, we want you. We want you to be a part of this network. We want you to get the profits and the exposure that you deserve. If you're sick and tired of places like Facebook and YouTube just giving you just nickels and dimes and sometimes give you just a little bit of a sizable paycheck. Come to the Wet Network. Where are the new innovation? We are the drip of the culture. If you're sick and tired of going through algorithms or whatever the hell they want to call it nowadays, and just hoping that you are recommended on new subscribers and new viewers, or seeing your subscribers disappear, because I've been hearing about that, or go through an apocalypse, come to the Wet Network. I'm not trying to sound like Suge Knight here, but go to this right here. See what I'm talking about. And as well as hit us up. Go to our Facebook page, message us, and we will answer back if you want to be a part of it. It's time for your content to shine. Let us know. And with that, y'all have a great night.
Yo, everyone. Before I bid you good night and farewell for tonight, I want to share. This past week, we lost Larry King, and I know with this, although it's a black show and black content that we talk about, for me as a young man that kind of grew up, I guess Larry King was one of the folks that first started seeing and made me fall in love with the idea of being in media or being in some kind of broadcasting or any kind of thing like we're doing today. So, I remember I've been watching this since 94, 95, before I even came back to the States in 96. And I could say every night about 9 o'clock, I was that little teenager that would run to the TVs to go watch Larry King. And I don't know how many people at the teenage age was doing that. Maybe that was a sign to tell that I was going to be a little more of an old soul and an old school person as an adult. Even maybe I was back then. So, but I say all that to say that one thing I really liked about Larry King, that I think that I would like to take from him in doing some of what we're doing today, and even maybe other parts of my life, is to be more, a little more balanced and listening to people. So when he listened, you can never tell if it was Democrat or Republican. And even till today, but now that he's gone, I can never tell. And I don't think all the stuff I saw on CNN the other day, if they came out and said what he was, because the same way he was able to interview Bill Clinton or George Bush is the same way he did. My favorite interview that he did of all the times I've ever watched him was Mahmoud Ahmadinejad, which is a former president of Iran. I remember that morning I was watching C-SPAN, and again, another weird thing, that in sense of, it's not weird, but we just don't see young people do that. So I was watching C-SPAN. Oh, this was right out of college. So I used to watch C-SPAN whenever I knew that the United Nations were meeting. So United Nations was meeting, and Hugo Chavez had just came off talking about Bush, and because Bush had just spoken, and Hugo Chavez came up, and he sprinkled. I don't know if he sprinkled salt on the podium or whatever, but he was making fun of Bush. Oh, like the devil, he was, and of course I knew how those countries felt about American empire or American, our foreign policy, which I guess I understand what they're saying, because we do a lot of fighting out there. It was funny. Hugo Chavez made fun of Bush. Then what's the name? Ahmadinejad got there and he spoke, and he was, he wasn't more with humor. He wasn't he didn't do with jokes, whatever. But he was just like going hard at the United States and Bush, about all this wars and all this stuff. And outside of the building, in New York, where the United Nations, outside the building, there was protesters all day. In fact, because he slept in the United States that night, there were protesters that was protesting where he stayed at, all kind of stuff, and the government, of course, the UN government had to make sure that, or the UN security had to make sure that they were safe and all that stuff. And within all that, Larry King interviewed him, and I'm sitting there like dang, and so Larry King got some heat for interviewing him as well, because people were going against him. But it wasn't just the interview; it was the fact that Larry King was talking to this guy like he was his homeboy, like he was his friend. And I'm like, and because he made dude feel so comfortable about how dude was sharing his perspective. And at the end of it, it's all about perspective, Because after listening to the, even though he had some views that I thought was a little bit, or maybe I won't say views. He had some. His facts were different than United States facts. The idea that the Holocaust never happened and all kind of stuff like that. Like that was some of the things he said, and they made me raise my eyebrows. So, but again, I don't try to be like I know who's telling the truth or not. But just the idea that he was able to listen to somebody from another mindset. I'm talking about total different mindset. I mean, he was he's the ideal interviewer Larry King is, and he's gonna be missed. And I certainly know that in my life, as much as I do my shows, I do interviews on my show. I want to model my interviews after the way he did it. His where everybody was his friend, everybody is somebody he can talk to. So if we keep doing that as a human being, as people in our everyday life, when we talk to people, meet people in the streets, we probably could do a bit better changing minds. It's not what we do today, where Democrats and Republicans are talking at each other. And I'm about to be done because I'm taking it to a different topic now. But the idea of this insurrection and what happened and how, the folks who voted for Trump, let's go get them, and when they had power, they were like, let's go get the Democrats. Somebody has to rise above and has to talk to the other one, and try to find understanding even in places where there's disagreement. So, and I think that that's the biggest challenge that we have as adults that we don't do. So hopefully they can, in the next future, that people will start doing that, finding a way to come across and talk to each other and understand each other. But with that being said, I say good night to everybody.
I'll be brief. Live while you are alive. Because when you're dead, you live no more. Be alive in your life. Be alive in your life. Be alive in your life. Basuba. Banui. Good night.
And ladies and gentlemen, that will do it for us. Once again, thank y'all for tuning into the show. Also, tell your friends, tell your family, tell anybody about this show. Tell them to tune in. We just don't talk about the issues. We get to solutions. And then sometimes we get sidetracked and we talk about other crazy stuff, but it all comes into the topic. We promise you that. And no vulgar language, I promise. But but other than that, on behalf of all of us, Anita Joe, aka Teach, to Mail, and then your host, Donna Lamonte Morris. Thank y'all for tuning in. We will see y'all on Wednesday. But one thing I'm gonna tell y'all to do, this is another idea because this show was Mayo's idea. This other show is gonna be his idea too. I want everybody to go watch the Amazon Prime movie One Night in Miami. I'm going to actually watch it right after I get out this shape that I'm creating. Everybody, I encourage everybody to go watch it, and we're going to give our takes and our reviews on it on our next show on Wednesday. And speaking of shows, we got some shows coming up in February, some very serious shows, but we're going to keep it to ourselves for now. We still got to discuss and to build up to it. And I promise you it's going to be a tearjerker. Well, not too much of a tearjerker, but an awareness that is going on right now. But enough of me. See y'all on Wednesday. Go watch our show on this site that I just posted for the Wet Network. Also, go watch One Night in Miami.
And if they watch One Night in Miami, please pay attention to the issue of if they portray the Nation of Islam bad or not. This is some of the discussion we'll have because that's a discussion that went on the social media after the movie came out. So get
cool.
that.
Once again, thank you to our two sponsors, Cheddar Boy Popcorn and Sky Zone Society. We are outro. Thank y'all so very, very much for tuning in. Y'all have a good one. Stay safe out there. Still disease out there. Catch y'all later. Bye-bye, y'all. Bye.
Bye-bye.